Hello, guys. We're picking back up with Legends of Tomorrow. So, if you haven't seen this week's episode, be sure to tune out and come back once you have, because we're going to be diving into some spoilers and talking about the episode itself. So, this episode opens with Sarah taking some leave from the Wave Rider, and she goes to Star City to take care of some type of business. She doesn't necessarily say what it is, possibly Oliver's funeral, but we don't really learn that in this episode. She leaves Ava in charge of the crew for this time while she's away, and of course, Ava does her typical kind of Ava thing, her awkward little business corporate mind, this like control that she likes to have, this organization. She brings in this business model that she's carried over from the Time Bureau to try to, do that thing that managers do to inspire enthusiasm, morale, and unify the team. This team building little program that she puts together called Aloha. She calls a team meeting to get everybody together so she can go over these processes to try to unify the group under her temporary leadership, but she's not able to get everybody on board except for Ray, who loves this kind of stuff. But luckily enough, a mission comes up and it gets them focused on something. It's 1793 in France, and the French Revolution has pretty much been derailed, and they have to go figure out what's going on, figure out who the Encore is. So they go and arrive, and they find this just huge party. Everybody in France is trying to get into this party, in which they see like Marie Antoinette and Napoleon there, who is not off fighting his war, and something is out of miss. Marie Antoinette has her head, in which she should not at this moment. Instead, she is pretty much the center of attention of this entire party. And the original reason she was beheaded was because she was partying. She was part of the upper class who was thriving during this time, while the majority of France's population were suffering with starvation, plight, poverty, all kinds of stuff during this war. And she's alive. And everybody's fawning over her, and everybody's just partying, gorging on this cake and all kinds of stuff. She even uses a guillotine to cut the cake. But they kind of come to determine that her ability as the Encore, as they identify her there, is that she's got this charm over everybody, because everybody doesn't want to leave the party, can't leave the party, and they're just stuffing themselves and gorging, overeating on all the food and the partying, the alcohol, all of it. And it's getting out of hand. So they try to kind of lead her away from the party, because they take Zari along with them for this mission, and being this kind of influencer-esque celebrity person, she's like, the only way to get somebody that's a celebrity away from a party is to tell them there's an even bigger party somewhere else. So they come up with this thing when they approach Marie Antoinette, that there's an after party, and she's like, ooh, after party? I'm going to come with you. And they do. But as she's leaving, as she's walking away, everybody notices she's being taken away from the party. So they just start following after, running after, trying to get her back to the party. She bumps her head on a column while they're trying to get away, get her to the Wave Rider, and her head pops off. So her head's not even fully detached to her body at this point. It's just completely separate. So they have to carry her away in two pieces back to the Wave Rider. I thought that was kind of funny. It's a little weird, a little cheesy, but of course, that's what you come to expect with this. They get her back to the Wave Rider and, strap down the body somewhere, plug up the mouth on the head so they could figure things out. And they find out it's not actually her that has the power, but it's this perfume that she has, this magical item that the perfume itself influences those that take it in and kind of poison ivies them towards the user. But earlier in this, it's established that Zari sneaks a peek at her own future, and she has her own perfume line, which apparently is dangerous to people's sense of smell, their respiratory system, and all this. And she ends up seeing that there's a huge fallout from that. She loses all of her followings, all of her followers. She loses any of her clout, and she's like, oh, I gotta stop this. And when they figure out that it's Marie Antoinette's perfume that is controlling everybody and like manipulating them and giving them that high, she's like, I'll take it for myself. And she takes the Wave Rider. She jump ships to that timeline back to the normal timeline when her perfume is actually releasing, and is just trying to divert that future knowingly. And so the Encore completely gets sidelined in this episode. Like she's played by the same actress that plays Nora, and they play with that a little bit with Ray being like, oh my gosh, she looks just like Nora. But meanwhile, while she's there trying to do her red carpet event thing, she accidentally gets bumped and spills the perfume all over herself, and everybody at the event turns into zombies and just starts trying to get at her. Abel shows up, reroutes it, and manages to get Zari and jumps with her into a fountain to finally wash the perfume off, and then dispels everything. And that pretty much resolves the entire Encore conflict. Whatever. I guess they just, I can't remember. I already forgot. I literally just finished this episode, and I cannot remember what they do with Marie Antoinette after that. Don't know if she's still in the ship. That being said, towards the end of the episode, after they're kind of talking out the resolution, Zari takes a bite of a donut because of all the stress of everything that's going on, her losing her followers and all that, and she's just being that type of person that she has been now, has not had a donut or sweets in 1,000 something odd days, because she knows to the day when it was. And we know Zari kind of had a thing with donuts, and when she bites into it finally, she gets like a flicker of every moment that Zari in the past timeline ever ate a donut or sweets or something like that, and it just starts another thing jogging her memory. But we're still not getting that Zari back yet. While this is all going on, pretty much the most interesting part of this episode was what John has been doing. And when we catch back up with him and Charlie, and of course he's back in that chamber where Natalie, the witch spirit he's trying to commune with to try to figure out how to save Astra, he's in there getting jostled around. They just hear him screaming. Gary uses some magic because he's freaking out about John's safety and opens the door and releases the spirit out into the rest of the house. The spirit, as we learn, is really just trying to get John to finally tell the truth about what happened, because he has never really admitted to what it was all about, why he lost Astra, what happened, what was in the exchange. Apparently, he grew up with her mother, and they were really close, and they had a relationship, but he ended up not, because of the dangers of it, but everything with it, he ended up choosing the magic rather than the relationship. And she went off, she found somebody else, she dies in a car wreck, and her partner at the time and Astra come to John to try to seek help. And it's John that actually instigates this, as we learn that this whole thing, the reason that he lost Astra was during a ritual to resurrect Natalie, her mother, who died in that crash. And he thought he was strong enough, arrogant in his young age, to be able to control the demon and keep them back from losing anything. But he ends up bringing back Natalie, and the demon takes Astra. And Natalie kills herself after losing her daughter in exchange for her own life. So all that falls on John, and the thing that comes down to it is because he was so cocky and full of himself that his powers, his ambitions for the power that comes with studying magic, that he wanted to prove to her by bringing her back. That's the reason he suggested it to her husband, partner. I don't know if they were actually married. I can't remember if it even comes up, but he was the one that actually brings up the topic that, well, I can try to resurrect her. We'll do that. So it all starts and ends with decisions and choices that John made. And the whole reason he wanted to do it is to see her face and prove to her that he made the right choice by choosing magic than their relationship. Selfish reasons across the board that lost Astra and Natalie all at the same time. And I don't know what happened to the boyfriend, man, husband, child guy person. Don't know what happened there. But he just, for his own ego, betrayed everybody. We also started the episode, and that's really what it comes down to. And Natalie brought him there using Charlie to get him there, because the only way he's going to be able to save Astra, according to Natalie, is that he has to first admit the real reason that he lost her in the first place. And the reason that she brought Charlie there, because Charlie didn't come there of her own accord, because of John Aguirre says, how did you even find this place? Natalie apparently brought Charlie there because when John and Natalie were children, they had bonded themselves with this loom of fate, this little ritual they did. And the loom of fate has some ties to Greek mythology. It's like the threads of fate, that tie everything together. There's a bunch of different variations on it, depending on, which spectrum you're looking at. But they bring up the loom of fate. And the reason that she brought Charlie there is because Charlie is pretty much the proof that it exists, because Charlie had a problem with the Lumifae, but we're still getting into Charlie's background, her demons. We're still not getting all of it, but she reveals that at least she knows that it was real because she had her own problems with it, and she destroyed it and scattered its pieces across the multiverse, leaving its fate currently kind of unknown, with the multiverse being gone. It may be completely back together now that everything's combined back into Earth Prime, excluding the non-Arrowverse Earths that were also restored, which none of the CW characters know is back. So I doubt they'll be out there, or maybe, who knows. But while all that's going on, Astra is going down to meet with this woman, this demon lady, to try to finally get her vengeance on John, who's been impeding her progress, her plans with these encores. And she has this soul dial, this soul coin, much like the other villains and stuff she's released back into the real world. She has one for John she's been holding on to this whole time, and she's just finally, I guess, fed up with it. She takes it down there. They crack it open, and it has your remaining years on it. So we learn that he's only got 10 years left before the lung cancer takes him. So that ties in with a little bit more of his comic background. But she's like, I can turn this now, but this is on you. Do you really want to do it? And she does. She has this demon lady turn the dial on John's life clock, essentially, and kills him. He dies. He falls to the ground in the conversation with Charlie at the end of the episode, coughing up blood, and the episode ends right there. Again, the stuff with John in these last couple of seasons are my favorite bits. I still need to finish the Constantine show that was on there. I know I have it on the DC Universe app and a few other places too, and I'm only like 4 or 5 episodes in. It's only one season. It's not even a full-fledged out season, but I really like it for what it is. I really like this character. I really love the energy that Matt Ryan brings to this, and I love all of his bits where he's shown up in the CW universe, when he showed up in the Arrowverse, when he's become a part of the Legends team. His bits are the most interesting. And I like to see where this is going, but it's like so small. The nuggets are like just so few and far between with these episodes because they're also trying to fill in the gaps, draw things out for their full season and stuff. So I can't really fault them for that. The antics are still fun. I thought overall this was a fairly weak episode overall. The John parts I loved. I wish there was more of that. I wish it was delved deeper into that. And maybe we could have had an episode away from the encores, because it really didn't further anything except this iteration of Zari, which we're eventually just going to lose. Again, it's just kind of dragging things out. That's one of the drawbacks of these CW shows, and when they have these longer show orders for the seasons, these 20-some episode arcs, that they just have to like make it last. And some of the other shows have been doing a lot better with this season by kind of spreading things out and changing things up here and there, especially with the pre-crossover stuff and the post-crossover stuff. Legends has the downside of starting completely after the crossover, so it's just been kind of trudging along for the most part. I don't know where it's all going to end up. I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the season, but overall, I just think it's one of the reasons some of this stuff doesn't always work. But I love the characters. I love the actors and actresses that are involved in the show, and I really love Matt Ryan and his John Constantine bits. He is fantastic. I really think that if he wasn't on this show, they should renew Constantine. For real. Do it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the episode. I don't really have anything else to say about this one. I always end up talking about these episodes a little bit longer, some of the other ones I talk about, but I want to know your guys' thoughts. What did you think of the episode? Let me know down in the comments. We'll carry on that conversation together down there. But if you like the video, guys, as always, I appreciate you for tuning in. Support the channel by liking, commenting, subscribing. It really helps me out. But that's it for this episode, and I will catch you guys in the next episode of Legends of Tomorrow. Take care, everybody.